am a cat. Meow, meow. I'm not a woman dressed as a cat. I am a cat. By show of hands, I'm curious, how many of you believe and confess that I'm a cat? Great.
When a mother dresses up like a cat to address a school board in order to save children from woke and godless indoctrination, you know that things are bad. Really, really bad.
These officials put kids' lives in danger to protect what exactly? We don't know. Any kid in those schools could tell you that men and women are not the same.
By show of hands, I'm curious, how many of you believe that your child or a child from this school would believe that I'm actually a cat? No one. You are right. Truth prevails over imagination. Reality exists. Discernment is innate and something we are biologically wired to have. One look at me and you know this to be true. I am a woman posing as a cat.
It's been quite some time now since we have tried everything that we could to remove God from the public school system. And when you remove God from something, you must necessarily replace him with something else or someone else. Well, for the past 5 to 10 years, we have witnessed the results of removing God from the public school system.
A report by PEN America found that 41% of books being banned across the country contain LGBTQ+ themes. Kathleen Battles is a queer scholar at Oakland University. She told me she insists that this is what the fight is about. She believes these books are imperative for queer students growing up in heterosexual homes.
They might not be able to learn about that with their families, but in a different kind of environment with educators and with peers, they can learn about those things.
Is a sexually explicit material necessary, do you believe?
I think in the long run, yes, representation itself is more important than sexually explicit material. But the fact is that if you look at our broader culture, it's full of sexually explicit material.
In other words, we're not really doing anything wrong here. Since our society is already sexually explicit, we might as well introduce sexually explicit books to kids. So much for being a queer scholar. Let me give you a little bit of background of what's going on here. Well, this brave mother lives in a town, and in that town there is a school. And at that school, there is a gentleman who demands that the children calls him a woman.
Well, first of all, Jesse, I'd like you to not misspecies me. I'd like to be addressed as a cat for the entirety of this video, of course.
Of course.
So
I apologize.
This was in my... Thank you. Just inclusivity is all I ask, you know. This was a local school in my neighborhood where there was a member of the school board whose name is Paul Bixler. He is a man. He's very clearly a man. And the only thing he does to identify as a female is put lipstick on. He grew his hair out a little bit, and he wears his deceased wife's clothing to school, to sporting events, to fundraisers, to school events in front of the children. And believe it or not, he actually demands on being identified one of two ways, either Paul, which is a man's name, of course, or Miss Bixler. So it's very clear that he has a gender identity crisis. And not only does he appear in front of the children and insist that the children, define him as a woman, but he sits on the board and he's making decisions for these children. And the point that I was trying to make as a cat was that, obviously, you can't just identify as whatever you want, and you can't demand that other people identify you as whatever you want. But someone with this kind of mental illness can enjoy that mental illness all they want in the comfort of their own home. But when you put them in charge of children, we're talking about a new type of indoctrination. And that's what's really terrifying, is seeing these people in charge of our kids' education.
Now, if this man was some random person in the school, I couldn't understand. But that is someone who's actually making executive decisions within the school on behalf of the children. And that cat lady was not having it, and I support her stand. We now live in a world that is upside down, where good is no longer good, bad is now good. People are going insane.
Let's show him trying to answer what is a woman and what he does to you. This is Soundbite 16.
You just really don't want to answer the questions, do you?
I came today very willing and enthusiastic about answering questions about women's and gender sexuality studies, which is what I do.
You wanted to answer questions about women's studies, and so shouldn't the first answer you should be able to provide is what exactly is a woman?
Well, for me, it's actually a really simple answer, and that's a person who identifies as a woman.
But what are they identifying as?
As a woman.
But what is that?
As a woman.
So circular and frustrating.
They're pushing these woke and godless ideologies on our children, even through the cartoons and movies that they watch on TV.
We'll begin with the latest example, and maybe the worst. This one is fresh out of the indoctrination oven. It's the show Muppet Babies. in which Gonzo comes out as a gender-fluid cross-dresser. Yes, really. Let's watch.
There you are. You missed our royal ball. We met the most amazing princess. But they ran away, and all they left behind was this.
Everyone, there's something I need to tell you. The princess who came to your ball tonight was me. I'm Gonzarella.
But Gonzo, why didn't Vu tell us?
Because you all expected me to look a certain way. I don't want you to be upset with me, but I don't want to do things just because that's the way they've always been done either. I want to be me.
Oh, Gonzo, we're sorry. It wasn't very nice of us to tell you what to wear to our ball.
You're our friend, and we love you any way you are.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
See, this is why it's so important to have a father in the home. It's clear that Gonzo doesn't have a father in the home to say, hey, take that thing off. You look stupid. Get that thing off of you.
Take that ridiculous thing off.
It's already difficult for us as parents to raise children within a fallen world. Now, to make matters worse, if they send them to these schools where kids are not really learning anything that they're supposed to be learning, but they're learning woke ideologies and trans ideologies and godless ideologies, it's even much worse. So what are we to do? Now, I must say that I'm not a parent yet, but I've spoken to many parents and it's not easy. Now, as Christians, the Bible calls on us to be vigilant and to be watchful over ourselves and watchful over our family and the children that the Lord has blessed us with. Now, it's quite clear to us Christian parents and even non-Christians that children are not to be sent to public school because it's become a slaughterhouse of the mind.
And every parent has a right to object to the things their kids are being exposed to. But there is a breaking point. And the breaking point is this: the fundamental existence of school is not to learn about sexual pleasure, not to learn about new sex acts. The fundamental purpose of school is to prepare our kids to be successful adults who can go off and have careers. And it is up to every parent to then teach their kids morality. It is out of the place for the school to do it, and I reject any notion that parents here are filled with hate or bigotry. The parents don't want their kids sexualized. If other people want to sexualize their kids, that's their business.
Now, I don't know what you guys are trying to do. I don't know, why didn't you take these books out and say, that's it, we're done with these books? But you guys want to sit here, just keep the books. You know, instead of you guys taking the 6 books out, we wouldn't even be here. What's the problem? What's the agenda? What are you getting out of it? It's getting ridiculous. People got kids out here, okay? I'm not against the gay. I'm not against anything. I'm against the books, okay? Don't sit here and say that people are sitting here coming to you guys and just telling you, oh, we want these books out. You worried about the gay people? No problem. We're not worried about the gay people. We're worried about our children, okay? And second of all, I don't want to hear anybody, okay, sitting there saying, oh, you guys are offending the gay. These are kids. They can be 18. If they want to become gay, let them become gay. Who cares? It's not our problem. We don't want kids to have access to these books. It's nice and simple. I'm not going to address the situation no more.
We need to understand that public schools are no-go for our kids. They are not prepared biblically for what's waiting for them, and they're not prepared psychologically for the onslaught of those woke and godless indoctrination within these schools. So as Christian parents and as parents in general, we have to be careful where we send our kids when it comes to education. We have to be careful what our kids are learning even within the confines of our homes. So I would encourage you to be fully involved and hands-on to what your kids are learning in school. They may be learning good stuff, or they may be learning things that they're not supposed to be learning. Maybe they go to a good school. Maybe they go to a school that used to be good and that's turning into this woke and godless agenda they're pushing on our children. Now, when our schools are teaching godless and woke ideologies, I would say it's in your benefit, it's in their benefit to keep them at home and teach them at home. And if you cannot afford a private school, there are so many homeschool programs for parents in order for them to at least guard the mind of their children against these woke and godless ideologies that the world keep pushing on us and pushing on our children. So it is your responsibility as parent to guard the mind of the little ones that the Lord has blessed you with. So as parents, I encourage you to be watchful, diligent, and prayerful in your parenting. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And if this is your first time on this channel and you made it this far, well, thank you for watching. And I hope to see you on our next video. With love in Christ, John Henry with the Gospel of Christ.